We just got rate cuts last week and we are dumping. The big question is, how much further are we going to dump before we pump? We are going to look at some on-chain data to get some tips on what is going to be the next move for cryptocurrencies, what is going to be the economic outlook and its impact on the crypto market, the secret that global liquidity is about to tell us, and of course some really interesting trade possibilities for the upcoming days. Welcome to Crypto Predator, like and subscribe. So taking a look at our base case right here, we still have a couple of months until the end of this bull run. You know that I use cycle trading and we can see that at the beginning of April we had a weekly cycle low, and right now we are already on the weekly cycle low window. And usually during the weekly cycle low, the dump is a little bit harder compared to the daily cycle. That's going to happen a couple of days after that. And based on the previous price behavior, this is what I see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and pump. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and we are going to pump. And from the previous weekly cycle, we had a bullish divergence for Bitcoin. And we still have the same possibility of that happening this time. So after this dump, I believe the price will continue to go up, the RSI will return to go bullish, and the moving average of the RSI will remain below it, just like we had right here during this last price increase. But take into account that we just had rate cuts. We have to consider the economic outlook and what's going to be the impact for Bitcoin. And right now we can see that the ETFs are still on a really good inflow. Although we had some net outflows and then we had another one of an increase, right now we are outflowing again. But I do not see a lot of volume of outflow like we had previously, so I still think that this is bullish for Bitcoin. There is still inflow from the ETFs into the market. In addition to that, we still see that MVRVZ score is telling us that we still have some room during this bull run. I always say this in this channel, we cannot expect a parabolic move like we used to have back in 2012, 2014, 2016, but we can expect some sort of pump in the upcoming months. Another factor that is going to influence how much of the Bitcoin price is going to increase is, of course, the rate cuts. But as you know, the context of the rate cuts is as important as the rate cut itself. We have to take a closer look at the economic data in order to conclude if the rate cut is going to be normalization or a recession cut. And the most important data that the Fed is closely watching right now is, of course, inflation. If inflation is out of control, this is going to be a recession cut. But since this first cut that we had last week, and right now, as we can see on the Trueflation graph, we see that the inflation is relatively under control, around 2.20%. So if the inflation is kept under control until the next rate cut, probably it is going to be a normalization cut again. Nevertheless, the fact that the cut is going to happen is actually above 90% of around 25 basis points. So we have to be ready for a pump, possibly in October. The biggest question that we're gonna answer right now is September going to be a bear or a bull month? So based on the previous returns and according to the chart analysis that we are going to do, I think that September is going to be bullish, but around 2% or maybe even less than that. But I'm still open to the possibility of a bearish September, in which the price is going to be ranging a little bit above 100,000 level. The first confluence that we're going to look right now is the M2 Global Liquidity Index, and most importantly, the M2 growth rate. If you have been in this channel long enough, you know that I don't just look at the global liquidity, I also look at the M2 growth versus borrowing rate. And whenever the M2 rate is getting closer and closer to the 3 level, I see that we are getting bearish and bearish. And right now I see that the rate is again walking towards the downside. Although we are still a little bit above at the 8.57, I will start to get worried of a real dump when we get closer to the 3 level. The rate pretty much means that there is less and less inflow of liquidity getting into the market. And you can see that the M2 global liquidity is reflecting that data. You don't see a lot of increase in the index, but it is actually losing its momentum. Yes, it had a new all-time high around here, but it quickly came back down. If we force it a little bit, I don't like to get into the nitty-gritty details of the M2, like into a daily behavior of the M2, but if you take a look right here, we had a short pump on the M2 and we also had a short pump on Bitcoin. Right after that, we had a dump. And I think that's exactly what's happening right now. But after that dump, I think that, as you can see right here, we are going to go back and continue to go up. And by the end of previous week, I already set a couple of points of interest on the Bitcoin chart. The first point of interest was around here, the 112 level, which I invalidated because there is some imbalance right below it. And I also invalidated the C point of interest because its momentum was not enough to break this structure right here and change the character of the 4-hour chart to bullish, which actually happened by the 4-hour order block B. So this is what happened today, so we can remove those order blocks in order to have a better analysis for us. And from what you see here in the chart, it already got filled. Now, since I was already expecting a further price dump, I opened a position at the 111 and 300 level, but after the price went up, I was suspicious of this behavior. So I set my stop loss at around this level right here, and if the price actually continues to dump, I'm going to get into another entry right here further below. Because if you see here a little bit at around 107, 106, we had a big 4-hour imbalance at this level. I dare to say that this imbalance also is around this level right here, and I think the price can actually swipe liquidity right here quickly before continuing its way up at the price at 105, 104, who knows, 103 level. The other possibility is that the local dump actually already happened here. And since we are getting a bullish divergence from the RSI, who knows, maybe the price will continue to go up. Because the next range of liquidity that is closer to the price is this one at the top level right here at the 114, since the liquidation at around this level is not as liquid compared to the upside. But who knows, maybe the price will go further to get liquidity here and then continue to go up. And another strong confluence that made me open a buy position last night was because we swiped quickly the Fear and Greed Index into the fear level. And this is exactly when we must buy Bitcoin, either on the fear or extreme fear. For Ethereum, we can see a huge imbalance on the daily time frame at around the 4,000 and 3,700 level, and a daily order block sitting around the 3,600 level. So I do expect the price to get as further down as this level right here and then continue to go to the upside. For the XRP, I noticed a couple of traps right here. The first one was the imbalance at this level at the 2.80, and as well as a strong inducement possibility right below it. So I placed my trade at around right here and my stop loss a little bit further down here, which was a good one. And right now we can see a couple of imbalances again on the 4-hour time frame, and the next trade that I'm going to take is going to be right here. So we can expect the price to pretty much swipe all this imbalance, get more liquidity at the 2.80 again, who knows, another swipe at this region, and then continue to go up. For Solana, my next target will be this order block on the daily time frame with a really strong possibility. I know the price already reached the upper level, but I still expect it to get further down. If you refine a little bit, I think that the next target is going to be sitting at around 200.73 level. So tell me what you guys think in the comments, how much of a dump we are going to have before continuing our way up, or if you think that this bull run has ended and we are about to start the bear market. Thanks for watching, see you on the next video.